December 7th, 2013. Darqueze Otter just tackled Braxton Miller on fourth down at the Big Ten Championship game in Indy. The crowd was going nuts and now knows that they are heading to the Rose Bowl for the first time in 27 years. Fast forward to January 1st, 2014. Kyler Ellsworth jumps over the offensive line to deny Stanford from its fourth down conversion to lock up the victory for the Spartans at the 100th Rose Bowl. Michigan State is the Rose Bowl champs for the 100th Rose Bowl game, and this game will never be the same. The Rose Bowl is a long-standing tradition. Because of the new NCAA playoff system, the Rose Bowl will never be the same, and Michigan State will be the last Rose Bowl champions. I'm here to tell you that there are a few reasons why the 101st Rose Bowl game will not be as close as the 100th Rose Bowl. First, the NCAA football playoff bracket makes the Rose Bowl game a qualifier game, not a big bowl game. Second, the Rose Bowl loses its significance and history from the Tournament of Roses. Third, the Rose Bowl has to rotate with other bowl games to be considered a championship game, and sometimes it may not even be in the rotation. So first, let's discuss the new playoff format. In order for teams to be selected to be in the historic Rose Bowl game, the committee selects two teams in a tedious voting process made up of 13 men and women on the selections committee, according to the NCAA's website on their playoff system. This selection committee may be made up of well-qualified people, but the fact of the matter is they cannot keep the tradition of the Rose Bowl intact. There are 12 men and 1 woman, the woman being Condoleezza Rice. They make up this committee and they rank up the top 25 teams, and then the teams with the most votes go on to the next round of seeding by the committee. Once the committee has agreed on the top 4 teams in college football, those teams will play in a playoff. For the year 2014-2015, the Rose Bowl will be a playoff semifinal to qualify for the national championship game. However, after that, the game will not be played on January 1st, and will be just another meaningless bowl game. In the past, the Rose Bowl has always been significant because it's been one of the earliest bowl games in history, and at times the only bowl game played on that day. Now, with this playoff system, it may lose its luster as the Rose Bowl. Now that we have covered the playoff system, let's talk about the logistics that have made the Rose Bowl historic. The Rose Bowl has always been accommodated with the Tournament of Roses Rose Parade. The Tournament of Roses is actually much older than the Rose Parade game itself. This is because there was still a Rose Parade even if there wasn't a Rose Bowl game. The Tournament of Roses always happened to the day of the game right before it. It is a long-standing tradition that may be ruined now with this playoff system. Even the Rose Bowl game is going to stay at its regular start time at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The game still does not have the same significance as the Rose Bowl, but instead is a qualifier for the next round, according to Sports Illustrated author Scott Mandel. The Tournament of Roses has always been a Big Ten Pac-10 matchup, and the Rose Bowl committee wants to keep it this way. However, it is not certain that the selections committee of the NCAA will be keeping this matchup. Since the selection committee gets to pick from the last BCS standings, they pick the 4 best teams who are going to the matchup in the qualifiers. Finally, how the Rose Bowl goes into rotation with other bowl games. With this system, the Rose Bowl has to enter a bowl game rotation with 6 other contracted bowls. 2 of these bowl games will be semifinals each year. There will now be 6 bowl games known as New Year's Six to be rotated each year for the semifinal qualifier for the national championship. The Rose Bowl cannot be rotated in the national championship game in the rotation. It may not even be played as a qualifier, according to McMurphy of ESPN. To clarify, the Rose Bowl game and Sugar Bowl will now be the 2 bowl games that will be qualifiers this year. They will both be played on New Year's Day, according to the NCAA. After that, they will be in rotation with the contracted bowls and the Orange, Cotton, Peach, and Fiesta Bowl. This all messes with the Rose Bowl significance and tradition with it, because after this year, the Rose Bowl will not be the spotlight game on New Year's Day. It will be just a meaningless bowl game. These entire points root down to one main argument: the destruction of tradition. Tradition has founded our country, and the Rose Bowl will lose its tradition from its new playoff system. With all this said and done, I do have confidence in the selection committee and the NCAA to try the best they can to preserve the Rose Bowl long-standing traditions and history. Even if the Rose Bowl goes into rotation with other bowl games, it still has to be played, but it may not be the same. The Tournament of Roses is such a marvelous experience, and I think the only people who have experienced it can only understand what I'm saying. Back to January 1st, 2014. Mark D'Antoni is on the stage field at the 50-yard line. He's being interviewed, and he said it has been a season-long goal to reach this historic place. After he speaks, the fans see a smile that lights up the whole stadium, and he says, "Some type of way, we got it done."